Hi, Mark here. I thought I'd just run through a quick demonstration how to use the Toolbag to viewer for web export function from the Toolbag program and be able to view the files locally on a Macintosh at least. Should be able to do this on Windows, but you'll need to make sure you've got Python installed, and I am not going into that, but I think it's fairly straightforward using Python's installers. So if I go into Marmoset Toolbag, I have the little rocket I'm working on at the moment loaded. Now to export that, it's quite straightforward. Go to the file, viewer export. Okay, and you need to put some details in here. First thing you need to do is set a place to do it. I've created a folder on my desktop called Web Docs, and that's where this file will be viewed from. This where I create the little web server now. Give it a name. Okay, I've already got. I'll call this one Rocket 3. Okay, it will create a file as you see in here. Okay, that's fine. That's the place to record it. Set a name in here. This is the title of the viewer window. This is your name that will appear. For example, my name, which is long. Put your website in here. That's the link that will appear under the name title. Texture quality. Leave this at high. Unless you're using really big textures, 2K is high, and that's pretty good for most web stuff. Unreasonable was 4K, and until we wait a few years till 4K monitors come out, maybe. Low, I'm not sure. I think it's about 1K. And this is the default size. So let's say, for example, we're viewing locally. So we'll set this up to, I don't know, 1200 by, let's say 800 for now. It'll do. You can use autoplay. That just means that it will automatically load. If you're doing it locally, that's fine. If you're doing it on web, turn this off, because that will just present a little button with a triangle on it, allowing them to then play when they want. Saves a bit of bandwidth for the user. Next thing you do is click on export. That's now exported that into this folder here, which, as I said, is on my desktop, Web Docs, Rocket 3. There's the file that will run. So if I double click on this, it'll open in the browser, and it doesn't work. Marmoset Viewer couldn't initialize, package, rocket, blah, 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 could not be retrieved. The reason why it couldn't work is because if you look here, it says file. That means it's opening a file on your machine, and it isn't running from a web server. So it isn't able to reference external JavaScript and all sorts of things. I don't know exactly what's going on, but basically it needs to run within a web server environment before you can run the browser, the viewer locally. So I'll close this window. Okay, now go back to the terminal. I've opened a terminal window here. Let me just clear this out so it's a bit confusing. You need to make sure when you open the terminal, you'll probably be in your home directory, which is PWD, print working directory, your home directory. You need to go to the Web Docs directory or whatever directory you created on your desktop. To do that, type cd, change directory, drag the directory you created where it's been exported to into the terminal window. And as you see, it says cd, change directory to user, blah, 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 desktop, Web Docs, that's the place I created it. Now I'm in the Web Docs folder. PWD, just to check. You can see now Web Docs, there we are. So now, what I need to do is enter the little Python command, which I'll put in the link, but I've got it already in here, and I'll show you. Basically, if you're using Python before Python 3, it's Python -m simple HTTP server, exactly written as that. It needs to be capitalized exactly the same. Press enter. That launches a local web server for that folder. And as you see, the address of the server is 000, which is localhost. Important thing here is the port 8000. So now go back to your web browser and type in here HTTP. This is very important that you do all of this, otherwise you will end up doing a Google search most probably, and that is not what you want to do. :8123 as it's listed there. So HTTP ://00000:8000, press enter. You will now get a directory listing for that Web Docs folder. It's exactly the same. Okay, slightly different order because of the way it's been listed, but there you go. It's exactly the same. So there's your files. What you're interested in is this last one you exported, which was, well, I exported anyway, is the Rocket 3 HTML. Yours will be whatever you called it. Click on that, and boom, it opens up in your browser. You can now navigate it, do all your bits and pieces, all the functions work, and because it's served from a web server, it can access JavaScript and do all sorts of bits and pieces. Close here. Here's the name that you put in there. That will now link to my website or wherever you linked it to, which is quite nice. So there you go. You can go to my website and have a look as well. I have a viewer working for this project as well. You can check that out if you want to. I won't do it from here though, because you can do it yourself. It's far easier. So basically, that's how it's done. To close this down again, go back to the terminal. Terminal is now running. It says information. This is standard stuff that the server normally says. You don't need to worry about it. It's just telling you that it served up that rocket thing to a web, that browser that is now accessing locally. To close this down, Control and C shuts it down, close the window, boof, and you're done. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope it was helpful.